afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Star Wars Headlines. That's Laughing Place live discussion of the latest news in the Star Wars universe. I'm Rebekah Mosley, the co-founder of Laughing Place, and with me is our guru, our man of all things Star Wars, and soon to be off to a different planet. I'm very excited for his journey. This is Mike Celestino over here.
Hi.
How's it going, Mike? We actually got to see each other face to face not too long ago. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, we briefly ran into each other at Disneyland, the happiest place on earth, at the Hungry Bear restaurant. Do we have that photo? No.
No, I didn't think to pull up that photo, but yeah, Mike was busy getting ready to bring Villains at Night. Is it Villains at Night? No, Villains After Dark.
Disneyland After Dark Villains Night.
Okay, he was getting ready to bring that coverage to the site, and I was down there to report on all things closing at Toontown. So it was like we got our paths crossed for like a moment or two.
Yeah, there were three theme park things to cover in Orange County that night because we also had Luke over at Knott's Berry Farm for the Boysenberry Festival preview.
I know. I think if I would have had like dibs, I would have been like, "Yeah, Luke, you can go take the pictures of the close-in Toontown. I'm gonna go eat me some boysenberry yumminess." But yeah, hey, it's all good. We all do what we need to around here. But we're here to talk about Star Wars headlines. It'll be a shorter show today because we were actually here just a few days ago, and this is not our usual day. We're usually here on Thursdays, but we won't be together on Thursday because Mike will be unable to be reached as he will be on a planet. So I am excited when he gets back and we will share his journey, but we'll talk more about that later. For now, welcome, Charles. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to start with a book review, huh, Mike?
Yeah, so there was an audio drama that came out last summer, August of 2021, called Star Wars: The High Republic, Tempest Runner. And just now, in fact, today, they have released the printed hardcover script version of that audio drama. It's called Star Wars: The High Republic, Tempest Runner by Cavan Scott. You can go out and get this now wherever books are sold. I really enjoyed this story in both forms. In fact, I think I liked it even more the second time. Hello, Skywalking Through Neverland, because I was able to read through the book. It's a nice, thick hardcover book that I can hug.
Mike, known famously for liking to hug his physical media, whether it's an album or a book.
Beauty and Mike C. I like that.
Oh, that's
yeah, but I liked reading through the Tempest Runner book while I was listening to the audio drama. You can see how Cavan Scott wrote the stage direction and described the sound effects and the locations and everything. When you're listening to the audio drama, all you hear are the sound effects, how they were interpreted, and the actors reading the dialogue. So it's a different way to experience it, but I feel like I absorbed it a lot better the second time through when I was reading and listening at the same time. So if you're really into the High Republic, or another great reason this is advantageous, if you happen to be hard of hearing or deaf, this is a great way to get exposed to that same story without being able to listen to the audio drama itself. So yeah, Tempest Runner, highly recommended by Cavan Scott.
Oh, Cavan Scott. That name just keeps popping up among the things we adore, right?
He's the busiest. He's got to be the busiest writer in Lucasfilm Publishing these days because he just churns stuff out. And he's not only writing Star Wars too. I also see him like promoting other stuff he's written. It's just how he must just be constantly writing like he's running out of time, as they say in Hamilton.
That's amazing. I wish I had that self-discipline and talent.
Yeah, I know. Because I'm writing something right now and I'm like, how would you possibly I'm struggling to come up with one story, let alone story after story after story after story.
Somehow have to fold together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. No, and characters, so many characters he's created and stuff. So very talented guy, very nice guy that I've interviewed. Yeah, exactly. Doobie knows what I'm talking about.
Continuing in the world of Star Wars, we've got some Darth Maul news, rumor, kind of, a little bit of both.
So I would call it a rumor, except it came out through the Hollywood Reporter. They're a very reliable source, and they check their sources and stuff. Lucasfilm has denied this, but who knows with this kind of I'm more interested in behind the scenes stuff after I've absorbed the material itself.
Right.
Like we haven't even seen the Obi-Wan Kenobi series yet, and already there's stories coming out about what it could have been or whatever. Apparently during the development, we knew that they had fired one of the writers and brought on this other guy, but apparently the first draft of the series involved Darth Maul, and now it doesn't. So that's the story that came out this past week. Again, it is, like you said, kind of a rumor, but given a little bit more legitimacy because of the Hollywood Reporter being the one who got it out there from whatever source they received it from. But it is interesting. I do like seeing that kind of peek behind the scene at the development of the show. And Lucasfilm under Disney has been less transparent about that kind of stuff, but I usually like to know about that after, I want to see what the final product, and then I'd like to learn about how it changed in development or whatever. I guess that's my preferred approach.
When they announced an Obi-Wan Kenobi series was coming to Disney Plus, did you expect to see Darth Maul?
Not really, because that story gets wrapped up in Star Wars Rebels. The Maul Obi-Wan story is already kind of concluded, and it wouldn't make 100% sense for me to have them interact in the Obi-Wan series, but it also doesn't make 100% sense for Darth Vader and Obi-Wan to interact, which apparently they're going to do anyway. So
I was when I heard some people talking about the possibility of Darth Maul, for me, I was anticipating it being more like, I don't know, more throwback, or not necessarily within the current time frame, but like maybe kind of like what we had with Boba Fett, where we were revisiting previous experiences so that, it wasn't directly in there. It was a much shorter window, but I kind of wondered now with the de-aging process and everything, it's so easy, it seems, for them to, have a moment that was like, oh, well, that was just 10 years, just, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and still share it with us in kind of a flashback way. That's become a popular storytelling tool in the modern era. So so that's what's over there at the Hollywood Reporter. We've got a synopsis on Laughing Place, or obviously you can drop by the Hollywood Reporter for all the information they have on it.
And the other thing I would say is, I wouldn't take this as ruling out the possibility that Maul may pop up in Obi-Wan, because, like I said, Lucasfilm has denied the story, and the reason they may be denying it is because he may still have a small role in it or whatever. Like, he may have a cameo, he may show up, or, we don't know really we don't know for a fact beyond what has been already shown in the trailer. So I feel like anything is possible.
And the Darth Maul silhouette, at least, is featured in the art for the upcoming Star Wars celebration. So we do hope, and as Skywalking Through Neverland points out, they teased us. They had the theme, the Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, and other rumors have pointed to there being a Darth Maul series possibly in development, either in animation or in live action or whatever. So like I said, it could happen. We don't know. This is just some inside the industry stuff coming out through leaks.
Over at the I just clicked on a link I didn't intend to. Over at the Star Wars YouTube Kids, I just lost the link. We Mike, you tell everybody about the Halcyon while I try and pull up the Drawing the Halcyon while I try and pull that link back up.
Okay, yeah. Tomorrow I am flying to Florida, and Thursday this week I will be departing for my 2-day stay on Halcyon Starcruiser as part of the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser experience. And this is a post about how to draw the Halcyon.
Because we all need to be able to draw the Halcyon. So this is over at Star Wars Kids. a nice little activity so that you can, if you're getting ready to take a journey, maybe you can have an activity with your younglings as you prepare for the journey. Or if you yourself like to draw, obviously there's no age limit on drawing and coloring. So there you go. I thought we would make sure that you were aware of the Draw the Halcyon.
Yeah, we did the Star Wars Day at Sea a couple years ago on the Disney Cruise Line, and one of the activities was learn to draw Star Wars characters. I think one of them was a First Order stormtrooper, and it was fun to see, first of all, how it was fun to actually figure out how they show you to draw the character, but then it was fun to see everybody's kind of interpretation of that drawing, that step-by-step process. Ooh, will I choose First Order, Resistance, or in the middle? Good question.
Yes. Have you? Will you? Will
I
we
don't know.
discuss
We'll have to
this
see
later?
which one is the most persuasive, I guess.
Yeah, he's coming as a allegiance to none, apparently allegiance to self.
Here's what I will say about my character right now. There is a 3-minute prologue video that I wrote and directed that's available to watch on YouTube. There is also a Twitter account called Who's the Bosk Pod that you can see right here, where it has been taken over this week by my character. You want to show it?
Let me know if the audio is sufficient, Mike, okay?
Okay.
That was my one concern with showing it, was I wasn't sure if I could get the audio going right.
Hey, Shrek.
Doesn't sound too bad to me.
Okay. You want to just run it? Let everybody watch?
Yeah. Can we make it full screen?
For sure. Let me see. I can make it up here. But I think we're going to be down on the bottom.
Okay. It's like Mystery Science Theater. You're missing a lot of the wind noises due to the audio being a little muted.
I like this. It's like the director's commentary.
It was super windy that day.
Thank you for contacting Starliner Travel. How may I assist you today?
I need to book passage to Batu as soon as possible.
From what point of origin, sir?
I'm on Titan.
Typhon. I'm afraid we don't offer service from the deep core to the outer rim.
Right. I could maybe hitch a ride to Corellia or Chandrilla. Do you have anything leaving from there?
Oh, you're in luck. The Chandrilla Starline does have a flight leaving from Chandrilla to Batu just 3 days from now. It's aboard the Halcyon.
Halcyon? Isn't that a bit expensive?
Yes, sir, but you'll be traveling in the height of luxury aboard one of the galaxy's most famous Starcruisers.
Don't you have anything else?
I'm afraid you picked the busy season for Batu. Black Spire Day is coming up, you know. And I'm afraid First Order activity in the area has severely limited our ability to service the outer rim.
Lady, I don't give a lurch behind about the First Order. Let's book it.
Wonderful, sir. If you'll just transfer your personal details and banking information, I can confirm a cabin in your name.
Done.
Thank you, sir, and may the Force be with you.
Right. Same to you. Doc Onda, you're gonna flip your Thorian lid.
So there you go.
I feel like if you squint, the visual effects are passable.
No, they're fantastic. Don't sell yourself short. It was really, really enjoyable. A lot of fun. Well done. I was particularly fond of your reference to the cost, and then the fact that there's no other way, because I keep getting asked, is it worth it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not the question. Is not, is it worth it? The question is, are you willing to pay it? Because to my thought is, if you want this experience, this authorized live in the Star Wars universe experience, you either pay this or you don't have it.
Right.
And so
right.
so therefore, I don't know that I'm even gonna look at it as, is it worth it? Because similarly to a lot of, like, I compare it to, these Disney purses or these Disney sweatshirts, and is it worth it? Well, it's the same fabric as the one that's like, $10 at the local, thrift shop, or
Right.
$25. And so I struggle with the notion of worth it. So therefore, to me, it's like, are you willing to pay it?
Yeah. I think the
I know it's
problem,
semantic.
yeah, the problem became when we were building up to the opening of this thing, the problem became that not enough people were aware of what it actually was. And that made the question of, is it worth it, a legitimate one, because you don't really know what you're paying for. But
Right. No, I gotcha.
I think that's a big part of the reason why they did invite so many media down there, both to
Mhm.
experience the 2-night thing, and then folks like me got to do like a 4-hour condensed version of it, and a
Right.
tour and everything, just so word of mouth could start spreading about what it actually was, and whether or not people just liked it on a very basic level. And I think by and large, the people who have gone have really enjoyed it. So, yeah, I think you're right in that the question then becomes, are you willing to pay that much for something that you will likely enjoy based on what other people have said and reported back from their
In
experience. But
in trying to prepare to support you and Jeremiah, in traveling on this, I've joined a few discussion boards and various social groups planning, and I'm amazed by how many people um, are already talking about working on return trips.
yeah, because I am. So to get into what I'm doing a little bit more, I have created this character. I'm, as kind of an experiment for Laughing Plays, I am going to attempt to commit to that character the entire time I'm there, much to my travel partner Jeremiah's chagrin. But we are going to be shooting more parts of this video series in a more of a documentary type style while we're there, to continue the story of this character as he travels to Batuu on the Halcyon. You can also follow along on Twitter. Yeah, Skywalking has said they took the Gaia performance video. They added captions. Part of the story is in the words, which I haven't really even looked into the lyrics of the songs and everything like that. But yeah, I was already thinking of, like, it would be nice to go and have like a more like casual experience. If I ever decide to go back, I would save up my own money and pay for it, and be thinking less about the performance aspect of it. But yeah, so if you want to follow along with Lotico's journey, go to Who's the Boss Pod on Twitter. I've already started. He's on his way to Chandrilla right now, making his way to where the Halcyon will depart from. And then once he gets on the ship, there'll be more story to tell.
As you've had a chance to have a small sample, because like you mentioned, for Laughing Place, you attended a media preview that was about, what, 4-hour experience.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you're looking forward to? Like, can you rank them? Like, as far as going back now as a guest, granted you're a working guest, but still as a guest.
Definitely number one is interacting with the characters more, because during that 4-hour preview, we got all the really big story beats they showed us, but we didn't get a lot of the in-between moments with the characters. So I think what I am definitely looking forward to the most is being in character myself and interacting with the main characters that they've created for the Halcyon, the captain, the Rhodian, Gaia, not Raya, Sammy, the mechanic, the droid, the astromech droid that's rolling around. And then, of course, there's a First Order officer and the stormtroopers and stuff. And you do interact with a couple more familiar characters later on that I won't spoil here. But yeah, I think to me, that's the biggest appeal, is that improvisation that you're going to have, because it is interactive. They do want to bring you into the story in that way. Number two is just getting to experience the atmosphere of the ship and the decor and the layout and the design of everything, because it was just so impressive. And then the story itself, I really want to, we got a condensed version and they told us it was all mixed around just because of the viability of having to play everything out in such a short amount of time. So I'm going to pay a lot more attention to the story and the actual sequence of everything in the narrative this time.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely excited. We've got Mike and Jeremiah. Mike's our West Coast correspondent and our Star Wars editorial content director. And Jeremiah's been our East Coast correspondent for a while now as well. So we've got, kind of our two theme park coverage veterans heading in to offer us coverage of the experience. And so I'm interested, because I know with you, Jeremiah's theme park background, and both of you have experience having attended other immersive environments. Can you speak just a little bit about that? So, give people a little bit of the perspective that you're bringing in, the unique experiences you've had previously.
Yeah, well, while I was on the Galactic Starcruiser, I kept thinking, like, this reminds me of something, one of the other immersive things I've done. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And as soon as I left and started talking to other people, I was reminded, okay, it's basically Ghost Town Alive, but in space, it makes sense because there's some creative DNA between the Imagineers that have worked on both Galactic Starcruiser and left Disney to go to Knott's Berry Farm and create Ghost Town Alive. So there's connections there. But I would say, if you are curious about what Galactic Starcruiser is all about, go to Ghost Town Alive when it happens. Hopefully it's happening this summer at Knott's. Figure out what that's all about. It's much cheaper, and it's 8 hours instead of 2 full days in length. And you can figure out how an immersive story plays out. Hang around Ghost Town that day. There's a story that plays out over 8 hours, but you can also interact with the characters. They'll come to know you over that time, and it ends with all of them coming together in like a big party. The story concludes at the end of the day. So this is that concept with probably the same amount of main characters, but in a Starcruiser cruise ship traveling to Batuu in the Star Wars galaxy. And the First Order is involved, and there's some heroes involved too.
One of the things that's really impressed me, because I've watched many hours now of videos from numerous outlets of whether it's Skywalking Through Neverland, our own coverage that was different, because they had a more traditional exposure to the experience, while ours was abbreviated. Is the way that they are able to, even though not everybody can experience everything, they're able to somehow bring you into it, so that even if you're not necessarily the one who's pulling the lever that particular moment, somehow there's an ownership that they give you within the moment. And that camaraderie really impressed me. And that, like, I saw moments where, like, there were 2 or 3 guests who were like directly hands-on in that moment, but you could just see that it was like it belonged to everybody. You didn't feel excluded. It was so impressive to me.
Yeah, you do start. I mean, even in the 4 hours that I was there, you do start to feel like you're on a big team trying to accomplish the same goals, even though they do split you up into First Order and Resistance. And as to which side I'm going to choose, one of the first questions that I had when I walked off that ship was, how are they going to get enough people to go to the First Order? Because you feel like most people want to join the resistance, right? Isn't that your inclination? Like there was that commercial that everybody was complaining about did you see with the women putting on the First Order hat? And then they like show the stormtroopers where Chewbacca is hiding. And then they took it down like right away. Did you see this?
Oh, no. That's funny. No,
Because
I
all the
haven't.
comments were like, oh yeah, you could pretend to be like a space Nazi and like
Oh,
showing the,
well,
yeah,
one of my favorite storylines that made it onto several different YouTube videos
yeah.
is that there was this family and they ended up divided
Uh-huh.
with some of them resistance, some of them First Order, and at differing moments, the siblings are snitching on each other to the people, whether it's, whoa, no, you can't say that. He's part of the First
Right.
Order to the resistance, or vice versa. It was just funny to see that actually play out, that dynamic that you're talking about.
Now, did they choose to split up or were they selected to split up?
They the little boy gravitated towards the First Order,
Okay.
while the siblings gravitated towards the
Okay.
resistance.
Or I just want to know, like, if they end up with too few people on either side, do they push people
Did they
toward one
push you?
side? Because I did, as part of my tour, I did one of the First Order missions in the engineering room, where it seemed like there had to be a certain amount of people to flip all the switches in the right
Mhm.
order or whatever. And if they didn't have enough, it didn't seem like it would work right to me.
It seemed to me that they had ways of massaging the story so that
Okay.
you could perhaps find it would be not, it wasn't like there are only First Order people in this room.
Okay.
So yeah, that was what I saw
Oh,
in some of the
okay.
videos I saw, was that
Okay.
they found ways to massage it so that you could fill all the bodies, but
So
it
you might
wasn't
have people who are double agents.
that type of scenario. Yeah,
Okay.
those types of
That's
elements.
interesting.
Or maybe this is good for our cause in the moment, but not in the long term. Like I say, kind of ways to massage the story to where momentary coming together can occur, so that, like you're saying, you have enough bodies.
Yeah. Okay. That's very
Yeah.
interesting to me because I was pretty curious about how that mechanic worked.
Well, I'm interested to see how it plays out for you, because there's
Yeah.
also, I'm sure that they've been playing a bit with capacity. That's a very common element when you have a new hotel or a new cruise or something, where you don't just kind of necessarily open day one packed to the brim. You kind of slowly ramp up so that you can adapt to the workload, to the way people are moving around, all those types of things. So I'm curious to see how your experiences will even differ from those that we've already seen in
Yeah.
previous cruises. I've heard of varying little changes here and there in operations. So I'm excited to see what it's like for you guys to go from the Starcruiser to Batu, because
Yes.
you didn't get to have that with your abbreviated. So you're gonna get to experience the much maligned box truck.
I
You
have
know,
no idea what the inside of that truck looks like. So that's probably the last big surprise waiting for me.
So I'm eager to know once you're there, because that's one of those things where I wonder if you would have known, because you can't help but know it was everywhere, the much maligned box truck. But I wonder if that's one of those things where had we not kind of had that part of the curtain torn away, would you be able to,
Right.
in your experience, be like, okay, I know how they did this, or would you have
Right.
been questioning how you were getting from A to B?
One of my other big pet peeves with the way that Twitter has responded to and YouTube have responded to the Galactic Starcruiser is this common refrain of like cherry picking one thing, like the line dancing, and being like, I'm not paying $5,000 for line dancing. And it's like, well, that's one very small part of this 2-day experience that has a lot going on, to the point where people are saying they like wake up in the morning and don't stop moving until they go to sleep at night. Like there seems to be, I don't know. I can't tell you if it's 5 or 6,000. I mean, obviously, again, even that number is misleading because that's the cost of the room, not per person. So, if you get 3 or 4 friends to go with you, it's not incredibly outside the realm of possibility of people going who aren't in the top 1% or whatever. So yeah, I do feel like a lot of the arguments are a little disingenuous, but
Well, but but it really boils down to what is of value to you
yeah,
and what matters to you. I know Peter Serretta. He's gone on, I want to say 2, if not 3 already.
really,
I think
wow.
it's 2. I think it's just back to back. And then right after that, he tweeted that he was on this luxurious world-class, cruise ship. And he said, I was having a wonderful time. It was great. But my thoughts kept going back to what a wonderful time I had just had on the Starcruiser.
So you're saying...
No, but he's saying, so,
right.
people keep saying to him, well, but I could go on a 7-day, cruise or whatever for that price. I throw that out. I don't know if that's the specific, challenge that they're giving. But for him, he was like, but yet I'm sitting here in the middle of one of those, thinking about that for whatever reason, it just connected more deeply. He walked away from it more deeply moved, more deeply impacted than even, kind of the more lengthy, luxurious. So it's not really fair to totally boil it down to just apples to apple. This many hours in a day.
Yeah.
This is a bed. It's like there's this intangible element to it that you really. I'm only by listening to others and like you say, checking out things like Ghost Town Alive and things like this to see if it's something that's really going to be worth your vacation money, your fun money, as I like to describe it.
I guess I'm a little worried by what you're saying about Peter Serretta, because if I have the same response, and I don't know, it might become like an addiction thing where you want to go back so badly that the cost becomes like, oh, I got to scrimp and save every year to do a trip on the Galactic Starcruiser. Because I've been to Evermore in Utah, which is an entire theme park that kind of operates on the same sensibility of immersive theater, and it's in a fantasy medieval setting. And the second time I was actually there for the grand opening, and then for the second time I went, my wife and I went together, and by that time it was like a year a year and a couple months after it had opened, and by that time the regulars had become such so invested and so regular that they had changed the process by which they were telling the story. Like when it opened, I think the story was repeating every day, like you would get at Ghost Town Alive or in the Galactic Starcruiser experience. Like you would go there, the story would play out over one day, repeat again if you came back the next day. But by the end of the second year, the story was advancing every day. So it got to the point where if you missed a day, you were missing part of the story. And they didn't have an annual pass, which was solely shocking to me at the time. Like you couldn't buy a season pass and come every day on that season pass. You had to pay, I think it was, I want to say $30 to $40 or something like that every time you wanted to go. And that was, I think it was open like Thursday through Sunday or something like that. Not every day of the week, but it was the weekends at least. And there were people who were super invested. There were like message boards on Facebook that would like fill you in on the story points you missed if you missed a day or whatever. But I could see, I mean, I don't think they'll ever get to the point in Galactic Starcruiser where the story is continuous. Like you can't miss one, but I could see there being enough regulars that they do want to swap it out every once in a while. Can
you imagine if instead of, how a cruise line has ports of call, right? So you have your Eastern Caribbean itinerary or your Western. What if that, if they had like, this story tag where it operates on these days, whereas this story tag is operating on these. I already know from, Facebook and discussion board groups that there's people who are gathering together who are getting to know each other before they board, much in the same way that happens within the cruise industry. Hey, my cruise leaves on the 17th. Anybody else here leaving on the 17th? And then they're chatting with each other, online and getting excited, talking about there's several groups out there dedicated to just helping you figure out your costuming, answering questions as other people are going. Oh, is this too much? Is this not enough?
See, I have no such qualms, and I am seeking no advice from anyone. I'm just taking my own initiative.
It's been fun to see. I was surprised by how many ladies are making sure to have like fancy in-universe
Oh,
wear
yeah.
so that they could, dress up for dinner. That thought hadn't even really crossed my mind that they would want to, have in-universe formal wear for the cruise. It's just so amazing.
Well, as a teaser, pay attention to the Twitter because I'm going to have an in-story tweet about why my character only has one change of clothing for the entire trip.
So good. So good. Oh, Mike, I cannot wait for you to we're gonna have to like block out some time because I can't wait for you to come back and talk about it and share with us what your experience was, where it wowed you, and where I'm sure there'll be moments where you're like, eh. So I'm interested to see kind of what works and what you anticipate might not be the same in the future. All those kinds of elements. It's
Yeah.
whew.
I can't wait either. What's that?
You leave?
Your
voyage begins?
My flight from LA leaves tomorrow afternoon at 12:30. And then my Halcyon trip begins Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. Orlando time.
So cool. So yeah, as Mike mentioned, Who's the Boss Pod? That's the Twitter where Lotico Fendan's experiences aboard the Halcyon will continue to be chronicled.
I have another little announcement about this too. By the end of the day today, I'm giving myself a deadline. I'm going to be publishing a prose backstory, short story about Lotico Fendan's life prior to these events. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Hopefully, you know what? I'm not going to say hopefully because I work better under pressure in that I work only under pressure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, by the end of today, we're going to have that up on laughingplace.com.
Awesome. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And as we begin to wind down here, Mike, I wanted to let you highlight the latest episode of Who's the Boss Pod.
Yeah, this is I'm building up to episode 100, which I want to release on May the 4th this year. So this is 97. I invited my friend Adam Rauscher, who's a high school film teacher, which I didn't have a film class in high school. I'm very jealous that they do in Michigan, where he lives. And we just talked about the connections between Star Wars and education and how he uses Star Wars in his film classes and stuff like that. So I thought it was a very interesting conversation. I knew Adam would be a great guest and have a lot to say about Star Wars in general, and he definitely did.
Fantastic. So be sure and give that a listen wherever you catch your pods. With that, I'm going to say we will see you in the future. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to, do you know, are we planning to try and do it our usual Thursday once you're back? Is that the game plan? Do you figure? I think so, right?
I don't know if we've talked about that.
Okay. Well, we will post on Laughing Place when our next Star Wars headlines will be. And at that time, we'll bring you, once again, not only the latest in the Star Wars universe, various comic book reviews, I'm sure, and other tidbits of information, but Mike Celestino will be back from his Halcyon experience in full character, and we'll be able to discuss that and answer questions that you have about the journey as well, if you're planning a trip or considering it. So be sure and stay tuned to Laughing Place. If you enjoyed today's discussion, give us a like. It helps people find us, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks, as always, Mike, for keeping us up to date on Star Wars. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is fun. Thank you.
Bye.